Hello, and welcome to my 31st October. I'm Lucky27, and this is a series of stories I have often told about my life. This is part 2 of the story entitled A Friend in Need. Even just coming onto the property, I could feel all the eyes on me. They have some acreage, and the land itself seems almost alive. I kept my shields up so that I wouldn't be influenced before I got into her house, and I could ground myself. The middle of the house seemed to be neutral space, so I grounded myself in there before I started looking for anything. We started in her and her husband's bedroom on the 3rd level, since it was also fairly clear. I was talking with her about how things were going to go and how she needed to keep her emotions in check and ask for any protecting entities around her to keep watch when a purse on a shelf fell down to the floor for no reason. I immediately picked up on an older man with a very deep tie to my friend. I concluded that this was her father, and he had come to do the walk with us, to keep his daughter and his grandchildren safe. I remember he had a message for her at the time, so I gave it to her. I honestly don't remember what that message was. Then we left the room and started the walk. There was a bathroom at the end of the hall that I sensed a man's energy in. My friend had told me that her eldest son had seen a man that he thought was his grandfather in the bathroom at night, but that wasn't what I was picking up on. I did feel that her father was there sometimes, but he was connected to a different bathroom, not this one, and he wasn't there all the time. Her father would be there to help another man to keep the thing that I was sensing on the stairs away from the family. The man I was sensing had a name that started with an S. I thought it might be Scott, or Steve, or Seth. And I saw things like a garage, or working out, and or working on cars. I also said that I felt he was attached more to her husband. He was looking out for him and her husband's sons. She wasn't sure who I was talking about. But I told her that he was extremely protective, especially of her husband and of their boys, and that he was like a long, strong arm, keeping the thing at the stairs at bay. And later, she spoke to her husband about it, and he confirmed with her that he had had a father figure whose name was one of those S names that I mentioned. I will continue not to say his name out of respect, even though I know what the name is. And this man also had ties to the things that I had said I had seen. He had been a very important person to her husband, and he had taken his death pretty hard. So he was thrilled to know that he was still going to bat for him even after his death, and protecting his family. I had told her that this guy was very strong, and had patrolled the hall often. Then we went into her youngest's room, which was across the hall from theirs. When we walked in, I told her he needed curtains or blinds or something because the eyes were on that room from the outside and they were very unnerving. The land, or the spirits of the land, were very interested in the youngest, and they were always watching him. I felt they were also trying to influence him to do things. Darker things. Not sure what, but they did not have good intentions. I told her then that her son was a natural shield, and that if he could develop his abilities, he would be able to block out all the eyes and the influence easily, and even shield his brother from this too, since their rooms shared a wall. I also told her that the same energy that was coming from the old man in the Greek fisherman's hat felt like what was trying to watch and influence the younger son. So they may be the same thing, or something working with the old man. But that was really all I sensed in the younger boy's room. Then we moved to the elder son's room. Now this was one of the biggest reasons I had been asked over. There was an entity posing as a young boy that was feeding off the elder son and causing major personality changes and sleeping issues. When I first walked into the room, I was drawn to something on the left side of the room. There was a closet on the left. I hate closets. Where I sensed a small, thin, crouching creature with long nails hiding just out of sight in the space above the closet ceiling. It was inside, the inside of the house. It told me its name was Jonathan and that it was a friend of the elder son. It tried to change its appearance to look like a young boy with blonde hair wearing a blue sweater, but I knew what it really looked like. It was trying to reach out and touch me, but I had my shields up so it couldn't. I knew that it wasn't connected to the house. Rather, it had traveled around until it had found the eldest and latched onto him. But it hadn't had a really strong hold on him until they had moved into this house. My friend and I talked about it, and we came to the conclusion that this had found her son when he was really worried about his younger brother's health. As I said before, the youngest had some big health problems when he was younger, and his brother, who is very emotionally and spiritually sensitive to things, was very upset about his brother's health and that there was nothing he could do to help him. So this thing had seen an opportunity for a meal and had latched on. But its hold on the elder boy wasn't very strong until they moved into the new house. Now I have to talk really quickly about an interesting phenomenon that happens and is still happening on this particular piece of land. Stuff keeps coming up out of the ground. Mostly what my mom called dragon tears or dragon glass, but it's just decorative glass in oval shapes or heart shapes. They've had pieces of clothing come up too, like a woman's chunky black boot shoe came up once. But it's usually glass. These things are full of energy from the land. In the beginning, the energy was destructive and cruel, like the land really didn't want the family there. But over time, the energy has changed, and it's not so bad. The reason I bring this up is because there was a glass heart that had come up out of the ground, and Jonathan was using the energy from it to get stronger and have a better hold on the boy. The heart was in his room. I told my friend that this was happening, and I told her to take it back outside and smash it with her son to sever the tie. I left a barrier up between the closet walls and the inside of the house where Jonathan was, so he couldn't come back in while I was still there. We took other measures later involving oils and claiming space, as well as protective amulets that I made for the house. Then we moved to the stairs, which was where we found what was causing the two father figure spirits to be upstairs. Now, when I say something showed itself to me, or I get a clue about something, it's usually me taking prompts from pop culture. This is why the best way for things to get a message to me, or just let me know it's there, is through music. I pick up on things quicker through music. But I also get pop culture references as guides too. So this thing on the stairs showed itself to me firstly as the character of Michael from the movie The Lost Boys. That's what I saw, but that wasn't what was there. It morphed fairly quickly into a young man with long curly hair about to his shoulders. He had some facial hair and was wearing all black, and he was smiling at me. Like he knew me, but didn't like me. He was daring me to come to him. But he wasn't dangerous, he was just annoying. He wanted to do bad things, but he wasn't strong enough. I told my friend what I was seeing, and I told her that I felt that this young man wasn't a ghost. I felt like he was left over from something highly emotional that had grown a consciousness of its own. It wasn't a person, but it wanted me to know that its name was Michael, or Mike. It could have been an energy or an emotional separation from a real person, but it wasn't the spirit of one. It seemed to be feeding off the same energy that Jonathan was, but the spirit of my friend's father, as well as the spirit of the man with the S name, was keeping Mike or Michael from getting upstairs. He faded in and out, though, so I feel like he was more trapped in the energy of the house than that he wanted to be there. Then we moved through him and down the stairs. This story will be continued in part 3. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the journey. I'm not sure how often I'll be posting something here, so leave a like, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you get updated when I do post. If you have questions or want to know more about something I've said, leave a comment and maybe I'll make a video explanation on the subject. But please be polite and courteous with the comments. My feelings don't get hurt, but the world has enough hate and judgment in it It doesn't need yours on this video. If you think you know who I am, please don't leave a comment guessing my identity. Just send me an email at the address in the description box. Thanks again, and I'll see you when I see you.